Welcome back to ATI Auto Business. My name is Jay. Tonight's show is Pocket Mentor, AI job support 24/7. I gave a little laugh there because I feel like I've been working on this setup here in this coffee shop. And the reason is I really wanted to move forward with my show with Derek Krager tonight. Derek is he's my guest speaker here. He's going to tell us more about himself, but he focuses on AI. Yes, we're going to talk about AI tonight. We're going to talk about several things, not just generic AI, but deep insight into industrial training and workforce support, the future of voice AI and hands-free support heading at enterprise companies. We're going to talk and learn about Pocket Mentor, practical AI solutions simplified, your best trainer now available by phone 24/7. And as I do all these things, I talk about getting to know your ecosystem. Derek, I'm excited to introduce you to the automotive ecosystem. I'm pretty sure this is your first live show in the automotive ecosystem, so that's pretty neat. We're solving slow onboarding, lost production time, constant retraining, hidden knowledge gaps. I'm excited to also do the show because, Derek, when I first, at first I didn't understand the value of Pocket Mentor, but I think I've come to learn that, this is really helpful. I titled tonight's show when I plugged it on LinkedIn, "Are you forgetting something?" And that is something that happens to us all. We do forget things. We're human beings. And if we can use technology to never forget something again, or not just forget it, but to do it. And I also in, seeing different items, because I follow AI, I think we all do in our own ways. I follow AI Marketing Institute, and one of their posts was talking about, I didn't even really understand this, but I do know that there's chats, there's agents. I don't even know what Wizards is. Maybe you have wizard models. You can tell us more about that. Then I saw this and talking about the different ways that we use AI. This is a lot at once, right? If you're super ADD, you have to click away. You can't do this. But multimedia, other practical guidance. Look how much practical guidance is probably, well, just under a third of what people are using it for. Seeking information is another third. Writing, obviously a huge third or whatever. Technical help, self-expression, but there's a lot of different reasons. And we started talking, it's been a few months since we first connected. So here we are, and this is why I really wanted to move forward with this. Also, I think you were telling me, kind of a little hinting on neurodiversity. Derek really has a lot to say. So welcome to Automotive Ecosystem on Tuesday nights. We are starting early because I just want to get the show. I want to do it. I want to get it done. And we're set up here at Pete's Coffee. Dealer debate. That was my last show, but I wanted to point this out. When I do AI shows, I think there's some people will yawn and other people lean in. And I got some lean in phone calls after the show. They were like, "Hey, I really thought this was a great show. I really want to know more about this technology. What else are you doing in this space?" And that's awesome. Here's another screen capture of, it's easy to get lost in the depth of evolution of AI. And I think that that's why some are reluctant to continue diving in. And I just want to say that finally, this global internet outage, this article says everything's back online. I'm actually at a coffee shop because where I'm staying is not back online, but that's okay. Hope everybody's back online except for me. Maybe I'm in the last group. This is Automotive Ecosystem. It's ATI. And we will talk a little bit of automotive, but we're going to focus on AI because I think it's important to learn as much as we can. And I pull this up too because as I lean into AI with ATI, I want to try to do more with my car hauling dispatcher training series. That's kind of my side project of what I want to do with AI. I deliver information. I don't ship cars. I do have a podcast. You can contact me. It is now time for, I don't have my drum roll button, but I'm hitting the drum roll button. I'm thinking drum roll. Derek, how are you?
Jay, I'm doing well. Thank you, brother, for having me on here.
It's great to have you. Please do me a favor, say hello, and tell us a little more about you.
Well, I what better topic can I think of than myself, you know? So it's interesting that we connected. I've my background is actually industrial automotive manufacturing. I spent about 20 years in that realm. And so when I come in here and I talk about teaching and learning and having that phone a friend always available to you as a mentor, I come from boots on the ground, actually, doing the work. I've driven the pipeline. I've turned the wrenches, and I've always had an interest in technology. The last wave was the internet, which really took 17 years for people to climb on board at the tipping point. But AI is here. I think it's a great tool. I think we are at an intersection, and not to quote Yogi Berra, but when you come to a fork in the road, let's actually go one way or the other. And I believe in this human first AI. Let's augment the human capabilities to make us better human beings rather than replace ourselves. So that's my direction today, Jay.
So, okay. I'm always, I get caught off guard. That's fine. I'm okay with that. You said auto industry. So what did you do in the auto industry?
I came through the trades myself. Worked at a automotive manufacturing plant in Indianapolis, Indiana. We built I think I was there through three generations of diesel motors, from the 6.9 to the 7.2 turbo diesel that Ford had a lot of success with back in the day. And then after that, I went to a company called Meritor, which recently got bought up by Cummins, which is another kind of big over the road suspension and drivetrain company. But it's always been in supporting the production line and making sure that the best product gets delivered.
So, what's interesting that's probably one of the areas I know the least about is, manufacturing equipment, parts. I've also never worked in a dealership. Again, I'm okay with that, but the automotive industry is a huge industry, and that's actually one of the roles of this show, is to also be a part of the audience and to learn, right? Because it's gigantic. And when you were doing that, there were several parts, I call them verticals, of the auto industry that you weren't familiar with. That's how big the auto industry is that, in fact, I truly believe that very few people in the industry understand what all the other verticals do. And I'm going to name the ones that I've identified. You've got car manufacturing, dealers, auctions, logistics. Then you've got remarketing, uh, recon, compliance, and tech. Now, in remarketing, you've got repossession and all that other side of like bringing the life back into a vehicle. So when you where you would you consider yourself, you were as a sector of the OEM manufacturing segment of the business? Would you say that?
Yeah, that's the first statement. OEM parts and such. I finished up in remanufacturing, actually, doing some over the road 18-inch diameter brake drum reman at a facility in my neighborhood. So it was all fun stuff. It really was, trying to make old into new and new into new, and all to the same standards that make sure it lasts forever, because that's what we want to pay for, is something that does last forever.
Somebody's latte is almost ready, but what I really wanted to say was, I also talk trucking. Now, trucking is really part of the logistics industry, but none of that actually matters at this moment, because we are here to talk about AI and Pocket Mentor. I think. I think that's what we're doing. Derek, what is Pocket Mentor?
Pocket Mentor, it sounds just like if Disney was going to come up with something, it's a mentor in your pocket. So now I kind of picture this animation in my mind, but it's a way to get that subject matter expert in your ear. I know Staples came out with the easy button back in the day, but that's what we've built with Pocket Mentor. It's the easy button. Press the button and you phone a friend and you say, "Hey, Jay, you've done this before, brother. Can you talk me through this? Because this is my first time, or maybe it's my second or third time, but I need help on the steps and whatever those steps are. And you're in my ear, and it's a true human conversation, maybe by proxy of computers, interjecting, but it's a conversation that allows me with my hands free and my eyes free so I can stay safe. I can be traveling down the road, or I can be working on my car, or I can be working on any vertical that's out there and focus on the work while having that friend in my ear. And that's really the bottom line to it. It's having a knowledge base that is friendly and sometimes humorous, that sticks with us and is patient and will support us until we get that diagnostic done, or that repair done, or that installation done, whatever it may be.
Okay, and is that then entails that I've got my phone. Look, there's our show. I've got my phone with me and Pocket Mentors on my phone. Is that the how I'm using it?
Well, it's not an app. So
It's
to
not an
say
app.
it's
Okay.
on your phone is like having, your phone number in the telephone book on the contact list, and somebody taps speed dial to call you. That's the same interaction that we have with Pocket Mentor. It's dialing a phone number, so there's no internet needed. You I think you mentioned the AWS outage that caused some complication, right? So Pocket Mentor actually goes through POTS, which is a plain old telephone system, which is one outage or one pathway. So I built it with simplicity in mind because I knew, we're humans. We're going to have problems in our infrastructure at some point in time. And depending on where we're at, maybe we're traveling down the road, we don't have internet. It's hard to believe now because we have internet on our phones pretty much everywhere, but there's no extra hardware to purchase, none of that capital expenditure that companies are worried about spending just to enable technology. This is technology at in your ear that you can access anywhere, just like it's a friend. So it's to articulate that. That sounds so simple, Derek. And I'm thinking, well, aren't all the great ideas simple? And I think to the Google page, which to this day is a box where you type in a search term and you hit enter. you know Keep it simple, because us humans, we really desire and we love the simple interface because it allows us to take control and know there's only one direction to go. And that's how we dealt with Pocket Mentor and built it all out. It's phoning a friend. It's a live conversation. And when you need it most, when you feel alone, you find out you're not alone at all. You got Pocket Mentor in your pocket.
That's interesting. And what's really interesting you said is because I was thinking I'm wondering if there's already an AI or an AI opportunity for, hey, AI, help me get back on the internet as fast as possible. Like, I don't know if there's an AI. Like, here we are, we're in this internet outage, and it's killing everything. Without internet, what can you do? You can't do much. Go for a walk and read a book, but you can't do any work, and that could affect you, your clients, etc. So yeah, you're right. Your phone's working. My phone's working. Hey, AI, what's the fastest way to get me back on the internet? Having said that, you used what you said, PODS. What does that mean? phone what?
POTS, POTS, like Tom. So
POTS?
it's a funny acronym, and everybody in telecom knows what it is because it's that copper wire that AT&T came out with 100 years ago. It's a plain old telephone system. That's that cool acronym, and it means that you can access our AI conversations through grandma's telephone on her wall. Literally a phone that's 100 years old, if it's still connected to the telecom system, it can dial and talk to our AI. So you don't even need a smartphone. Smartphone, I think almost everybody has. I think there's like a 98% saturation rate, and for the people that measure those things. But it's just a way to use something we're already comfortable with. So that's the whole goal here, is to make life easier for humans, not complicate it.
That is fascinating because it's ironic that with internet outage, I was thinking about, what are we going to do? We gotten rid of all the DVDs, VCRs, anything hardwired to analog. We just got rid of it. So now that everything's in the cloud, if there's no cloud, what do you have? All right. So Pocket Mentor will help you tap into alternative technology if that's required. So I want to get into how do you, let's say, so I brought up my car hauling dispatcher training series. Let's say I'm a dispatcher and I want to use Pocket Mentor to help me make sure that I'm not forgetting a dispatch, that I'm not forgetting an order, that I'm not forgetting something that the client wanted me to make sure I do. There's all these, right? I've got all these sticky notes of things that I don't want to forget. How do I use Pocket Mentor to help me succeed and be accurate and meet the clients? SLA gets thrown around a lot in automotive, and I think many industries. To be compliant with SLA, I've got to make sure I check all these boxes. How can Pocket Mentor help me stay on SLA?
Well, I think the best way to explain this is just let's remove technology out of it. Let's just go to the conversation. And you showed your flash up there, your screenshot of your training. So in this instance, Jay is the subject matter expert. So if we want somebody to do their best, be like Jay. I would say call Jay up. Make sure you give your mobile number, your private number, and at the bottom of the screen here, so everybody can dial you. But wouldn't you agree? Now, I'm not saying you would agree to answer the phone 24/7, but being the author of your own training, wouldn't you agree that you've positioned yourself as a subject matter expert on this training? And if a student has a question, if they called you direct, they would get the best answer in the most succinct manner, shortest amount of time, and they could go back to work. So if you imagine that scenario where you're connecting with the brain behind it, and now let's say that Jay has his training and he's going to market, and you are training trainers to actually go out, one trainer per state in North America, and you are training your trainers to go out and teach your program live. What would you teach those trainers? You would want them to train like you would. So you would give them cues, you would give them the information, you would give them the workbooks, the processes, priorities of decision making, diagnostic tree, everything to teach it just like you would teach your trainers to do that. And then your trainers would go out. But even at this point, let's say if North America let's say you have 100 trainers that are out there. Even if you have 100 trainers, they're not going to be available 24/7, 365. So there's still a scalability limitation. So this is where we bring in AI. And I want to emphasize, we're not using AI to think for you. We're not asking AI to think for the human. We're bringing in AI to soundboard and help you diagnose. The greatest teachers are out there are the ones that ask questions. What do you see now? What's the voltage there? Are you on the right road? Is it the right time of day? All these things. So we train our AI product just like you would train a trainer to teach your system. And so in this manner, it's scalable. It can be accessed 24/7, 365 by one person at a time or 1,000 people at a time. I'm guessing that you probably aren't wanting to take 1,000 calls on a Saturday morning at 2 a.m., right?
I like where you're headed. No, I don't. And in fact, I've already started down the road of uh, accepting the idea that one day I'm not going to be doing this show. But that doesn't mean I still get YouTube comments. Hey, where's that dispatcher training? I need to learn. And so I see the need to roboticize and turn me into AI so that I can help people after I stop doing this. I've created the most comprehensive car hauling dispatcher training series available. And I didn't know that I was going to do that. I just did it. And yeah, it needs to be available 24/7, even after I stop doing it. We can use my voice. And plus, it's going to have to adapt to changes, technologies, things like that. So yeah, let her rip. That's the idea.
Well, and along that line, it's not just about having a PDF that we can digitize and throw on our phone or our tablet or laptop and say, now I have I can take my, my maintenance manual or my guidance manual or my training manual, my school textbooks, I can make them portable. Well, you still have to read, you still have to look, you still have to go through the process. And there's something about this kinesthetic, this experiential part of learning that sometimes I just get stuck on a question. Like, I want to know how to do this. And in the manual, it has a chapter for this, but I'm reading it and the answer isn't there. And if I could just call you up and say, hey, I'm reading this and it says stuff here, but how does it apply to situation A? Or how does it apply to situation B or C? And this is where we add that extra layer. I would dare say an extra dimension to our interaction, because we've downloaded your brain at this point. We've put it in a box, so somebody can call that box and ask your brain. It's a copy of your brain. We download it, but it's going to ask your brain for answers to their questions, and it's going to make sure, and we have these guardrails up, it's not going to go out to the wild west of the World Wide Web internet and just pull any answer under the sun and throw it at you, and it may or may not be right. No, it's going to stick within that box, that training that you've already developed, your brain, and it will answer from there and nowhere else. And that's the key here, is it will give answers and to what if situations. Like, okay, what if this was a Toyota, or what if this was I don't know, a Ford, or what would I do in Wyoming versus Texas versus Illinois? It's able to converse at a human level and to create knowledge and extrapolate direction where it doesn't occur naturally in a manual or even a YouTube video. I love YouTube videos. Let me change my brakes, or whatever it is. It can walk me through, but what happens when my car hasn't seen the video or hasn't read the operations manual? Right? You come to a point where now I need to get that expert help, that SME, that subject matter expert. And this is where RA goes in. It dives into your downloaded brain and it speaks on your behalf, and it connects in a way to the user that they are able to solve their problems through this soundboarding conversational technique. And there's an emotional, psychological side effect that, oh, hey, I don't feel lost and on my own because I have this anthropomorphized computer talking to me, and it feels good to have a friend.
So, all right. So you've already developed the Pocket Mentor, if I say OS, to where it's ready for more interactive knowledge topics, but the OS, the Pocket Mentor shell, vehicle, engine, it exists?
It does, yeah. And the way you
Wow.
say it exists, it's similar to Gutenberg when he built his press back in the day, 1500s or so. It's it exists, and we're able to plug in any topic and make that topic, for you for that situation. So it's there. We're using it today. We're expanding. It all comes down to, if a human can do it, well, Pocket Mentor can do it.
Ooh, that's a good motto. And that means, we're at this human crossroads where let me expand on that. By the way, I think my blended matcha is almost ready. Um, we're not getting rid of humans. There's this real fear. We're going to look back and think how silly that we thought human beings would be gone. But right now it's real. It's kind of like when when COVID first hit and we thought, "Oh my god, the world's going to run out of ventilators." We look back and we're like, "Oh, that was kind of silly." We're not getting rid of humans. And I also say this, like, when you go to do anything, you don't grab like a hunk of wood and a stone. You go to your toolbox. It's technology. It's just these are new tools, and they're so interesting that they seem maybe spiritually possessed. But it's not that. It's just that it's so new and it's really a leap. And until you start using these tools, go ahead and grab that Phillips head and give it a turn. Wow, that's neat. When we use AI, as we dive into AI, we see, wow, we can really do things. You can do amazing things with AI quickly. And I don't have to be an evangelist of AI, but I feel like every time I talk about AI right now, I have to like inject some psychology. Do you feel that way? Because there's this
In
fear.
what manner?
Well, there's just this overriding fear. But I think the world is full of fear right now. And one of them is I'm going to be replaced. And there's many other fears. But having said that, let's forget about the fear. Uh, okay. You're saying that the engine exists, and like the Gutenberg press, you just need to what give me something, I'll make a copy right now. I'm ready to go with a new technology. So let's take this the car hauling dispatcher training idea. How would we build? Not that we're going to, we don't have to do this, but how would Pocket Mentor take the car hauling dispatcher principles and help new dispatchers? If it's not a mobile app, where are they going to engage with the dispatch brain box?
I'm thinking Disney again. Maybe you
Okay.
should ask them for some marketing money here. But I'm just kind of picturing, bringing your brain to life, and your brain. We download your brain, and what we do, our process is, and I'll say that. Kind of preface this by saying, I spent the last 6 years in corporate America at Amazon, where I built Amazon's highest rated employee training program in their company history. So that's a nice feather in my cap. But my takeaway is, I know the psychology behind teaching. I know what works. I know what doesn't work. And we put all that in to the front end that interacts with the individual. And that's similar to how to win friends and influence people, right? That wasn't about knowledge. It was about emotional quotient, right? That EQ. It's how to connect. So that's what we do. So that's the emotional and interpretation connection with the human. And that's very important, almost, if not more important than the context and the knowledge domain itself. So set that aside. That's a big part of it. Now, the knowledge, you have a training course, you have PDFs, you have audios. We ingest that and we just break it into ones and zeros, and we store it in a way our instructional designers go through, and there's ways that computers can access things, different than humans, greater accuracy, greater skill, greater retention, et cetera, et cetera. So we organize all that knowledge in a special structure to make it most easily accessible. And so that's the back end. And then the front end is the second AI, an LLM. We'll throw out some acronyms out here, that connects with the human and interprets between the human what their need is, and it finds and connects that knowledge in that knowledge base. So we do this as humans already. You've taught in front of a group. I've taught in front of a group. There's many people here listening that's taught or spoken in front of a group. And just like you would read the room and you would answer questions and respond accordingly and stay on track, which may or may not follow, chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in sequential order. It's that human connection, and that's the important part. So if we're putting your product, your training on here, I'm going to ingest all your video, your audio, your PDFs, your documents, and I'm going to take all of that, and then I'm going to interview you and say, hey, how would you like this to be delivered? In a whimsical, comical way, or are we serious? Are we Wall Street? Do you want to throw a joke in every 10, 15 minutes during the talk? I mean, these are all things that you would train your own trainer if they were going to teach this class on your behalf live. We will teach this AI the same way you teach your trainer. So I hope that comes through, because that articulation of the method is kind of like the winning or the losing phrase.
That made a lot of sense to me, because I was, I've talked to my friend David. He and I have talked about how to turn, J at ATI into AI, as if anybody wants that. But my point is that we were on track with kind of the same thinking. Is that so? If you're a presenter of any type, it doesn't have to just be this dispatching stuff. You could be a dealer trainer. You could be a corporate speaker. You're going places. You're giving presentations. Take those recordings, audio, video, PDF, etc. That's the download your brain part. And then what do you do with all that data? You feed it into where are you putting it?
We crunch it. We put it into ones and zeros, and well, you have your trouble with AWS today, and that's only one part of the big infrastructure out there. But the data on the backside is we deal with that much similar as traditional software does. The difference here is that we're not traditional software, so we have storage places. You can call them databases and S3 buckets and all kinds of cool technical terminology. But it's back in the old days we'd record it to a cassette type of thing. But wherever it is, it can be multiple places at once, so we can build in that redundancy. But it's stored, and I guess you could say the cloud, and we can store it in the cloud, or we can store it local. They call it edge use case. So if to make it available in case the infrastructure goes down. But we break it all down to ones and zeros, all the information, and then we have this pipeline connected to it that interfaces through voice conversation with the user. And at this point, that's really as difficult as it gets. We've got that pool over here with the data, and we've got a human, and we've got this bridge in between that makes sure to interpret the user's questions and their needs, and to anticipate future needs, and then find the answers in this deep well and return those to the user.
Right. And so then, now that you have whatever training material, whatever presenter information, now you have the user who needs to interact, not just access the information like reading a book, but interact with it as if they were calling me. And they can use it sounds like an alternative method, POTS, right? To
Yes.
interact so that it's the most accessible way for them to interact. And they're having a phone call. Can they do this on their computer? Can they see visuals? What type of interaction, right? Because like, let's say right now, you know what? I think the answer is going to be voice, like you said, because right now when I use ChatGPT, and I'm now having these conversations with people, and that I use ChatGPT, but I didn't pay for any custom GPTs, so I don't have that stuff. But also when I interact with ChatGPT, I'm typing, and I want to get to the point where I'm talking. Are you in this case with the presenter, with the subject matter expert? Are you typing, using voice, and seeing screen results? Tell me more about that if you would.
Yeah, and you've got your finger on the pulse right there. It's accurate. It's that immediate response. And I don't know if you hear a dog in the background, Jay. I've got a little bit of diagnostic going on with my own HVAC system here, so my dog is making sure that I know that somebody's coming through the door. Anyway, my son's out there. He'll take care of it. But
All right, cool.
getting back to the question here, um, it. It it's available via a telephone call. It is available via alternatively or in conjunction with if you have a web page, whether it be on a laptop, a tablet, or a mobile phone, you can tap a button and you can interface through there. Just like we started making computer calls 20 years ago or more. We can use a computer to dial, but I mean we kind of bypass the whole dialing side. So there's the communication side through a regular telephone call that could be grandma's phone hanging on the wall. We have the through the computer, so it's tap the easy button on your web browser. Still, it's not an app. It's just a button on a web page somewhere. And then third, we also have the ability for text chat. So it's the text chat is still there if that is a desired need or an option, or if you're looking for articulation, in text. Because let's face it, not everybody has full 100% access to their ears and their voice. So we want to make sure that we have a text option there. So all these three things are available. You ask about visuals. So visuals are cool. We are not AR, we're not VR, and all the cool kids are saying XR. Kind of X takes the place of all these letters that are coming. But it's the best friend. It's that subject matter expert, and that subject matter expert might say, "Hey, if you want to see a visual, pull out page 22 on your instruction manual. It's going to direct you on how to interpret what you see and how you see it, but to avoid that complexity. And complexity adds barriers, and adding barriers reduces success. It reduces feeling good type of thing. It reduces, getting through the day or the night. And we are strictly a conversational based solution. And if imagine, calling up Nikola Tesla to ask about, his latest Westinghouse 480 volt, three-phase electric motor, and speaking to that human. Now, how much value is there versus, can I see a picture too? Well, we can get pictures everywhere. So we're not looking to reinvent the wheel. And the same thing with you. You create the material. If you have value in an instructional, an image, a photo, a map, an index of any sort, well, you just point it to it. And if you were on the telephone, you would tell them to get their butt up and open the manual and look if they needed to. But 99 times out of 100, it's just, okay, I have an idea on what I need to do. Now, just talk me through it. I want to make sure I get the right order and the right place and the right pacing. And that's what we do here. So we stay simple because simple works. Google proved it with that search box. Amazon proved it with the one-click purchase. And which, by the way, when Amazon removed the barrier to purchasing, That's why they have the market share they do today of like 56% of all consumer sales, is because they made it easy and simple. If Jeff Bezos didn't direct his development team to make purchasing so easy, Amazon would just be another online store right now. There'd be nothing special. It wouldn't have the growth. And that's just indicative that us as humans, we like simple things. We like to think about things, but if we're having trouble getting past the barriers, well, now our brain isn't working on thinking about new things. It's stuck in the ditch, in the mud and the grit, and it's not a fun time. So we want to make sure and keep our users on the fun side of things, on that informational high, so to speak.
That's a good point. What's your favorite example of using your Pocket Mentor technology?
Well, my background is trades, industrial trades, and these are the electrical falls under that. And when I was first doing product fit, product analysis, I reached out to all my friends that are out there that are engineers and maintenance directors in the industrial segment, and 3 out of every 4 responses to my question, where would you find the most value? The response was some combination of basic electricity or diagnosing a PowerFlex VFD, a variable frequency drive, which is just a fancy dedicated computer that sits on a 3-phase motor to tell it when to start, when to stop, and how fast to go. So it was that simple thing, and we've done that. It's out there in the world and being used, and it's a way to give this technician on that Saturday night at maybe 2 a.m. when they're all by themselves, they're flashlight holders because they don't have the knowledge as, Jim or Janet does on day shift, that's been there for 30 years. So it's a way for them to reach out, plug in an error code, and be talked to through the diagnostic and the resolution. So that's my favorite. It's the electrical side of things.
All right, I'm going to go back to, that's pretty interesting. I think this is a really interesting conversation. Again, I really do believe that there's so much, I'm assuming you agree that there's so much opportunity in the AI job assistance market because of the need to, like, I know people that work on big spreadsheets. They might have 1,000 vehicles that they've got to look at in their dispatch day. 1,000 vehicles, that's overwhelming. You can't manage 1,000 vehicles, but you're expected to do so. Only with AI can you manage that, especially day after day, and things change. You're not going to be able to keep up. You're going to get burned out. You're going to feel like a failure. Something's going to break. It's too much for a human being to manage without AI. I also believe the same thing in scenarios of logistics. So like, I just wrote down car hauling dispatcher live help. So if somebody could access Jay's brain without calling me, but access it, they only need it for 5 or 10 minutes. Here's the deal. They got an email, they got a text, they got a phone call, or they got something through their TMS, and they got a problem. A client wants something they don't know how to handle, and they need to be able to access some sort of live assistance to just get an easy answer. What should I do? Do I negotiate? Do they tell them we can't do that? Do I call the driver? Because the problem is these logistics problems, they just keep coming. And if you're working on one, you can't handle a second one. This is where I'm getting at with kind of the dispatch live logistics help. And I didn't mean to turn this show into a, hey, can we help Jay create this? But I'm trying to fully wrap my head around what's possible and what different versions of AI, agentic AI. Are we talking about agentic AI in that term? People like, yeah. Tell me more.
Right. We can throw any phrase that's out there. It's they're all applicable. Honestly, it's my thought is let's keep it simple, right? Occam's razor. Let's get the solution out there, and whatever components we put together to make the solution happen. As long as the solution works, I think that's all consumers and users need to know.
Would it be fair to say, I mean, is AI, is that your passion right now?
It is. It is. And again, I started out the show. I said that we're using AI to think with the human, not for the human. And that's important because we want to keep that human in the loop. We don't want to think for them because they need to stay cognizant on what they're doing. If they're over the road, they need to keep their eyes on the road. If they have their hands in 480-volt systems, they need to be focused on keeping their hands safe and keeping their body safe. So it's available and it's answering the questions when they need it. Yeah, and you said it well. Just like you would answer their question.
I'm going to switch gears. I think dealers are kind of the heartbeat of the automotive industry because it's the selling and moving it's moving metal and selling cars. That's what the auto industry does. Okay? And in fact, if you look at any organization, it's the sales side. Yeah, you got the engineers and the marketers and the coders and the owners and finance and accounting and the investors, etc. But if you don't have strong sales, everything else I think starts to falter. And I don't even work in sales. I just believe that's why sales gets all the attention. All right. Having said that, dealer sales, there's a lot of training, there's a lot of constant, you know, dealer sales training managers, they get up at 4 a.m., they crack raw eggs, they do push-ups, and they start high-fiving and run. That's, it's a thing. So to smack the troops into, you can't say that, to get the troops in line, to get the new, because you've always got there's a new kid, he sells his first car and they cut his tie, to get those troops in line, I think there's a lot of room for AI. Am I wrong?
Well, there is. Yeah, and let's look at AI as, let's say A is for automation, and it automates and it supports us. As you said, it's a tool in our toolbox that we can utilize. And if we think of AI again, emphasize not thinking for the human, but augmenting that human with tools. AI is like the best search tool in the world, right? Because picture, let's download Jay's brain. Now we stick it on a disk. And now I want an AI tool to go in there and find exactly the answer to my question that I want. And if if that answer does not exist in a how-to FAQ of sorts, then the AI can go in here and take a bit from Jay's digital brain on the left, a bit from the right, a bit in the middle, and assemble it into a direction, a guide, just like you, Jay, the human would, if you were to assemble that on the fly. And that's the partnership that the AI is here. And yeah, absolutely. It keeps us moving. If it was at Newtonian physics, if I want to sound cool, objects in motion tend to stay in motion. So if we're in the middle of a task and then we have to drop everything and go to the shop or go to our car or go to the library and find the answer, well, we're going to get distracted. The work isn't getting done, whatever that work is. The learning isn't getting done if we're just trying to learn and we're just missing that one piece of information that could have kept us going. AI is the ultimate search tool that gives us the answer we need. And the way we utilize it is by putting all that knowledge in the box, the J box, and accessing that AI to focus extremely fast right on what's in that knowledge base. And again, return it just like it came out of your brain yourself.
There is a first year dealership sales trainee right now that doesn't want to go back into the office, knock on the door, ask a question, get yelled at, but they know they need to act right now to try to make a sale. They've got maybe a couple customers on the lot, right? They're in that moment. And if they're tipped in the correct direction with the right advice right now, they could probably get the sale. They can use that AI assistant to help them make the right decision, do the right thing, say the right thing, check the right boxes, or they can just fail and not get the sale. Maybe not come back in tomorrow. That's kind of how I look at this AI assistant. Is that the right way to look at it?
Yeah, it is the right way to look at it. It's like taking somebody under your wing, that mentor protege relationship is the ultimate way to learn because the mentor has all the knowledge, all the facts, and the protege gets to ask stupid questions without being judged. The protege gets to say, hey, what if I did it this way, or what if I did it that way? And the neat thing about it is, if 9 out of 10 of those questions truly are dumb questions, well, they're not dumb for that person because they're learning. But we capture that one question out of 10 that would make the mentor go, hey, I hadn't thought about it that way. That would improve the process. And then we can capture that and incorporate that to improve the learning that was already top notch to begin with. So it's that constant,
Right.
continuous improvement
Continuous
pursuit.
improvement. Exactly. And it's not that there's a dumb question. It's just that there's no time. You don't have time to go back across the lot, knock on a door. They don't have time to answer their door. They don't have time to explain it to you. There's just no time. Time really has become the problem. And because there's no time, we need something we need that time machine, a knowledge time machine that gets us now when we need it, in the right now, right now.
Yeah, I like the way you put that. It's we deliver just-in-time knowledge to the individual. And if a dealership, whether it's out on the sales floor or back in the shop or the paint booth, wherever you're at, if the subject matter expert there, and maybe it's the owner, maybe it's the GM, the best thing that an employee could do would be to spend all day with that person and learn from them. But there's not enough time for that same subject matter expert to spend one-on-one time with every employee they have. And that's that scalability issue that we have overcome by downloading your brain and putting it in a box. Make it available for everybody 24/7, 365. And when I call, I learn the way I need to learn. Lisa calls, she learns the way Lisa needs to learn. When Tom calls, Tom learns the way Tom needs to learn. But it's all coming from that single source of truth, that original knowledge base that comes right from you.
I'm going to thank you at this point. You know what's interesting, Derek, is that we got through all that. Okay, and I got a text. Show is pausing in and out, not missing words but phrases. But the stream did just drop about 30 seconds ago. I'm not sure what it's going to come out like, but I thought we were having a really great conversation. I don't know if I can upload a live stream from a coffee shop. I've gone live from different locations before, and it's always different. So, I mean, I think we were able to, for the most part, pull off a pretty good show. We'll see what the stream comes out like, but it did just end, and so we may as well end the show there.
All right. Well, that sounds good. And I look forward to getting your product out on the market, Jay's personal pocket mentor.
So I'll say this is that thank you for that. I'll say this is that I really am, and I think I said this to you maybe a couple months ago, is that uh, Jay's car hauling dispatcher training series, Jay's car hauling dispatch brain, I it is the one angle of everything I've done in automotive. It's the one evergreen AI idea I have. It's the one thing that I've brought the most information on, and I haven't talked to David about this in a while, so it's just it's kind of it's an on pause, ongoing project. If you get a wild hair and you like, yeah, I'm going to contact Jay about his AI dispatching brain stuff again. I'd love to include you in this small exploratory group without burdening you.
Well, I know we spoke about this couple
Yeah.
months ago, and
Yeah.
we're intrigued by the idea. And I say it's a go, thumbs up. Let's do
Cool.
that.
Okay.
That way you get hands on, and then you can report out to your listeners. Was it a flop or is it good stuff going on? And in the end, I think that you learn a little bit more about your product and how it's delivered and how it could be delivered. And let's democratize this learning process to get knowledge out to as many people as possible, and while keeping the expense down. That's the important part
Yeah.
is sharing knowledge.
I have no R&D budget. So that's going to be a negative. But yeah, no, see, and that's the thing. What I'm also learning is, and this is why I don't think it's important that I develop it now, because after this AI, I keep doing these AI shows, and AI dispatching is I got a I got a phone call from this guy. He was super excited. He was like, "Hey, I want to talk to you about that AI dispatch tech, because what he's got dispatchers, and that's why I know this is an ongoing thing. Whether it's they just work in logistics as reps or dispatchers or whatever, the definition doesn't matter. It's a logistics function requiring people to get vehicles moved daily, and they're overwhelmed. They're not properly trained. They can't manage it all. And here are some of their challenges. They have to load trucks. When I say trucks, there's different types of car hauling equipment. There's flatbeds, there's 3-car haulers, there's 2-car haulers. Then there's the 9 cars and the big ones. But these are the smaller rigs. And they're given orders randomly through text, through email. I said it before: text, email, phone call, and then TMS. So different sources coming in, and even the source that's organizing the information takes too much time. So they need AI to help them. Oh, we see you have an email. We see you have a text, right? Like that dumb paperclip guy from Microsoft Word. We see that you're compiling, we see these orders coming in. We're going to help you. And I've already talked to a guy who says they kind of do some of this, but I know it's in its infancy. We see aspects of orders coming in. We're not only going to help you finish the order, but we're going to help you start finding the truck for the order. Whoa, that doesn't exist yet. And that kind of tech, and beyond that, we're going to help you negotiate it. Right? We're going to we're going to help you communicate with the client what their expectations should be. So there's many different aspects here. This is the juice of the dispatching help. I don't think people want to have conversations with Jay's dispatch brain. What they want is Jay's brain Chrome extension to help them build orders and get shit done fast. And that's the true golden idea. Whatever that is.
Well, and that's where that phone a friend helps out, whatever
Okay.
situation. Yeah, AI is
Mm.
fantastic for keeping us in the flow. And if we're in the flow, we either get more done or we get home sooner.
Boom! I wish I could end the show right there. Derek, let's keep in touch. Thank you so much for being flexible today. Thanks for humoring me through the audio check. And really, this has been great. I really, really appreciate it.
Well, thanks again for having me on board, and good luck. And let's make this thing happen.
All right, you started it. You reached out to me. This is your fault.
I will take the blame. Happy to.
All right, cool, man. Listen, we'll be in touch, okay? Keep me
All right,
posted.
brother. You take care.
All right, man. Thanks
Thank
so
you.
much. All right, see ya. Bye.